Hey crew, I've got the key. Just your standard Ford Mustang key. No, it doesn't unlock that Mustang. It unlocks this one, the GTD. We are going to take it for a first drive, but before that, let's check out how it looks on the inside and the outside. I have the car running right now, by the way, for two very important reasons. The first is that it's so hot here in Palm Springs, I need that AC going for me to get inside the cabin. And two, that allows me in track drive mode to lower the car 1.5 inches. That is the squat we're looking at right now. The moment you turn the car off, the suspension is going to raise it right back up. So up here at the front, you can see the additional 6 inches of width compared to a Mustang GT. And this car has the optional performance package, so it gets this extended front splitter, it has some active aerodynamics underneath the vehicle, and it has the DRS system on the rear wing, or drag reduction system. You see that in Formula One cars. It's here on a Mustang. Back up here at the front, we have big cooling here, including ducts for these heat exchangers off to the left and right. There are these aero winglets off to the side, your standard S650 generation Mustang LED headlights with sequential turn signals. There is this black contrasting hood on this lightning blue exterior color. To open up that hood, you don't just pull the lever inside the cabin, you also have to press on these pins and then release the latch. On the hood itself are these gurney flaps to raise up moving air and allow hotter air to be extracted from that engine bay. These vents can also be removed for track duty. And now we arrive at the most dramatic and, in my opinion, awesome part of the GTD's exterior. These massive louvers over the front wheel arches. So what they're gonna do is take all that turbulent moving air in the wheel wells and extract it on out. We've got 20-inch wheels. These are the forged alloys. You do have the option of magnesium wheels as well. Carbon ceramic brakes are found within those. The wheels are wrapped up in Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2R tires, a street legal but very much track dedicated tire. Working our way back, there are these extended side sills which serve as reservoirs for all the road debris that got pulled off with those sticky tires. Standard Mustang door mirrors, 2 additional ducts here that in concert with these right over the rear transaxle, gonna bring in cool air to that intercooler, cool that system down. And stepping back, looking at this fully lowered track mode car, the Mustang GTD looks the business. I love this detail. You can just move the entire car by yanking on that wing. It's just so integral to the chassis. And this is the DRS system. This piece here will lift up and go down to provide downforce or allow more slip through the air. Getting to the back, standard S650 taillights, but then all this exposed venting. And then down low is this giant diffuser with these 2 jutting Akrapovic exhaust outlets. So overall, yeah, there's a little family resemblance with the standard Mustang, but I don't think anyone is going to confuse a regular Mustang GT with the GTD. My question for you is whether Ford nailed it with this design. Did they not go far enough? Did they go too far? Or did they get it just right? Let me know in the comments, and let's check out the interior. But before I do that, let me show you one thing, because the whole body is made from carbon fiber, everything except for the door skins. But feeling is believing. So now that I've pressed that button on the cabin, and I've prepared my fingers for these scalding hot pins over the trunk, I'm gonna press each of these in, and then lift up on the trunk lid, making sure to release each pin carefully. And now I'm going to extract this carbon fiber trunk lid and just show you how light this is. This massive piece weighs absolutely nothing. And when you pull that off, it exposes where the battery is, and there's a little window on either side for you to see the spool valve suspension system. What we didn't see back there was trunk space, really, of any kind. Instead, you have a lack of rear seats, and therefore these 2 recessed portions where a backpack or a helmet could go. And more importantly, you have this encasing for your suspension system. It's surrounded in carbon fiber, it says GTD. It's really stinking cool. Now, unfortunately for the interior, that's one of the few differences between this $325,000 GTD and a regular Mustang GT. I mean, you do have this cool steering wheel with a flat bottom carbon fiber and suede inserts with a center marker in suede. You have carbon fiber around the air vents and here on the passenger side with a GTD number plaque. There's more carbon fiber around the rotary drive selector, and this is neat. This can be 3D printed from retired fighter jet materials. Same is true for these paddles behind the steering wheel, and they made the drive mode selection in red, and the start-stop button is red too. That's it. That's the whole shebang for a $350,000 car, the Halo Ford performance product right now until they probably revive the Ford GT. That's it. I kind of got in and expected a full cockpit about the driver. Get rid of the infotainment screen. Make everything carbon fiber. Don't have hard plastics here. Give me a gauge cluster honed around the driver with a horizontal tack and a shift light sequenced here on the steering wheel. I wanted it to feel more special, but it feels primarily from this seat like a regular Mustang. You look in the rear view at that suspension system and you know something is up. And of course, anytime someone sees it from the outside, they definitely know something is up, but the inside is not bringing the specialness to the same degree. But enough about that, it's time to drive it. And to do that, I'm actually gonna turn the car off because I want that full effect of turning it back on. Let's reset. Ooh, cool animation. That is seriously cool, actually. All right, now, foot on the brake. Fire it up. Supercharged V8 has come to life. And while it was just sitting there idling, by the way, I had the exhaust set to quiet, which is all the way over here, even though it was in track mode. So now we're just in normal to begin our drive around town before I then open up those baffles a bit later. So let me turn the dial to reverse. That prompts a reasonably high-res camera system, as good as supercars can be expected to have. And then let me back on out of here. The parking brake was not engaged, so we're good. We've got trajectory lines too. And before we go much of anywhere, we have to cover the mundane, the turning radius and horn. So let's turn that wheel fully and see just how wide of an arc we are gonna carve. Yeah, it's pretty wide. But honestly, I expected worse. From 325mm front tires and 345 at the back, this turning circle is actually usable in the real world. And let's listen to that horn, because this is what we all came to a GTD review for. Just your standard Mustang horn. Checks the box there. Now, because we are going to be on public roads for today, I will not be putting it in track drive mode because the car is just so low in that mode, you would scrape on absolutely everything. But here, even in the normal mode, I would probably scrape that front splitter on this driveway. So I'm going to raise the front end, which is a button that's placed right where other buttons are in the Mustang GT. Hit that, and it pops up really quickly. And now we should be clear. Hold my breath. Yes, we're good. Okay, so it raises it up plenty for you to enter and exit steep driveways. And I've turned the air down just for a sec so you can hear the turn signal, which is another direct pull from the Mustang. From all of the controls, I have immediate familiarity, and that's actually a very good thing, right? I want a more unique experience inside this cabin, but I am appreciative of knowing exactly how to turn up the volume or adjust my drive mode or any of the media settings here on the steering wheel. It's just like the regular Mustang. The big difference is how wide this car is. And the lack, frankly, of the visibility to that width. I just see the edge of the hood here, or the front quarter, but I can't see the louvers that extend beyond that. So I'm just having to mentally calibrate for additional width that I can't see. If I got into some narrow situations, I would be doing just like when I exited that driveway, holding my breath and hoping there wasn't an incident with the wheels or the carbon fiber body panels. Now, to start out this drive, one of the things I was worried about with that very sophisticated race-bred multi-matic spool valve adaptive suspension was the ride being punishing. And though I can certainly feel much more of the road texture than your standard Mustang GT, especially as I go over those lane markings, it isn't rough. It's firm, but the impacts are not jarring to my spine. And so it kind of bridges that gap perfectly. You are in touch with the road. That's what you want for a super sports car product, but you don't want to dread running around the corner for an errand. Another thing that is very chill right now is the 5.2 liter supercharged V8, a motor that is pulled from the GT500, but it has a smaller pulley, it has unique cams, and so now it makes 815 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque. It is routed through another GT500 derived transmission, but it has been adjusted. It now has 8 speeds to the dual clutch instead of 7 in the GT500, and importantly, it is mounted in the rear. It's a transaxle, and the purpose for that is perfect 50-50 weight distribution. And that transmission's operation is pretty unlike most dual clutches that I've encountered that have a distinct clunkiness, especially in the first 2 gears. As you're changing gears, it's pretty darn smooth. And so it works with that supercharged engine's relatively linear power curve in the normal drive mode. I'm very much able to cruise in this car, knowing precisely how much throttle input to apply to get up to speed. I also appreciate, speaking of familiar things inside this car, that the visibility isn't tarnished in this GTD. Front view is excellent. I mean, you've got the gurney flaps raising up there a little bit. The side windows are just as large as the normal GT car, and you've got that rear piece of glass. The view out the back is obstructed by that giant wing, especially when the DRS flap is down. Now you just saw it go back up, and I can see through, but whenever downforce is required, your view is not, apparently. It is really such a strange, conflicting feeling I have driving this car. I said when I got in, I wanted to feel more racy, more special, and yet as I've been driving it around town, I can see the appeal of having it so familiar, so immediately comfortable. It makes you want to drive it more, I suppose. It's not just for the track, it can be for around town, and you are going to conjure that wow, that awe from passersby. And now we are about to join up with the highway, so I'm going to move into the sport drive mode just to start to, ooh, that made a big difference immediately. Downshifted, and I can hear more. Oh yeah. I'm already in love. I mean, if you know me, you know I like supercharged V8 muscle. First the Blackwing, then the Demon 170. So, yeah, Ford had my number on that one. But the pops on the upshifts are terrific. And Sport even is very willing to downshift the moment you get just past a certain point with the throttle. Oh, it's fast. Yeah. Yeah, it's fast. And it sounds good. But then immediately settles back down into a cruising speed and cruising level of volume, no. This car is definitely louder than a standard Mustang. And it's not just that engine, it's not just the exhaust. It's what I imagine to be a reduction of insulation in this car to save weight. And so I hear absolutely everything. I hear that tire noise, outside traffic as I pass vehicles, wind noise. Yeah, you do hear it all. And for your drives to and from the track, or even just a Cars and Coffee event, you do have a cruise control. Now it isn't adaptive, but there is also a lane keep assist system, which isn't found on all supercars, cars of this category. And so if I start to depart the lane a little bit, it is going to bring me back. It's not going to stay in the center of the lane, but it is a helpful feature, especially when you're driving a vehicle this much wider than the regular Mustang. Wait. I got off the highway and found a chewed-up road surface to really experience the difference Yeah, it's so much louder in here. I feel like I'm in a Category 5 storm. But you know what? There isn't crazy tram lining that's happening from the tires. It's easy to point it straight. Silver lining. Thankfully, I found a smoother strip of road to attempt a real-world 0 to 60 test. I've got my race box set up here to record. In sport drive mode, foot is on the brake for launch control, building up the revs. Let it go. Little hesitation, and then we are away. And there's 60 in 3.68 seconds. It's like rear-wheel drive to survive. Oh, but straight line acceleration is but a small piece of the GTD formula. Now that we're on a twisty road, we can really see what this car was meant to do, which is inhale ribbons of asphalt. Gosh darn it. It's a completely different animal. The around town felt similar in a way to a standard Mustang. But now that I'm here, it's all changed. The first and biggest difference is the steering. It is lightning quick on the turn in and loaded with feel just off center. It's brimming with feedback. Carbon ceramics really can scrub that speed. This is not a lightweight vehicle. It's like 4,400 pounds, but it feels light with the way it changes direction. Oh my goodness. And though I can't see it, I know that race style push rod suspension back there is doing a lot to keep this car flat through these curves. Right now in sport, the transmission is mostly doing what I wanted to do, but I think I'm gonna have to try manual mode. Gosh darn it, that supercharged V8 motor. I came into this convinced that, Ford might have made a mistake, not giving it a flat plane crank V8 like a GT350. I get it, it's hard to make a ton of power with that without doing forced induction, as the new ZR1 has gone. But I just, I wanted it to rev to 9,000 RPM, or at least into the 8s. But here we are at 7,650, and this motor is a thrill up until the red line. Oh, this car's so fast. It's so silly fast. To get that kind of American V8 soundtrack in a very world-class tuned handling machine. This is brilliance. Yeah. GT3 RS levels of handling prowess with a screaming supercharged V8. Ford, you guys are insane. I love you. Never change. Never change. Oh, the clamor. And the finesse. Oh, the blending of the two. And it's just clicked for me. The revelation that is going to make the fact that the interior is somewhat pedestrian mean nothing to GTD owners. It is that you are so consumed with this, you have very little time, none at all in fact, to worry about this. The grip from these Cup 2Rs and that is provided by that Multimatic suspension is unreal. It, frankly, I don't want to overstate this. It makes this type of driving at these speeds easy. Not easy, but not that difficult to go real fast. It requires the racetrack. Now I get it. To really feel out those fringes doesn't mean it isn't fun. Let's make that very clear. I love this car. Oh, why don't I have $250,000 to spend on something? If I sell the Demon, and then, no. It just doesn't work. Okay, it's manual mode time. Now I can get that temporarily just by pulling on the paddle, or I can hit the M button in the center for full control, quick downshifts. And run it out. Upshift right before that hard rev limiter. And the instant you pull the paddle, you're changing gear. That's what you want from a dual clutch transmission. That's what you want in a car of this performance pedigree. And the feel of pulling the paddles is rather good. The action is terrific. The satisfaction has to come from multi-facets, and you get it all here. Even there, getting unsettled, it immediately stuck itself right back down to the ground. And that is why I'm not in track mode, because if I was in track mode, I would have destroyed the front splitter right there. And I don't want to underrepresent the grip that Ford is responsible for, the tires from Michelin, the suspension from Multimatic, but the DRS system, that wing, that's them. Oh, a little bit of water on the windshield. I will be slowing things right back down. This is some serious rain. Anyway, this is the desert for you, by the way. The grip provided from that rear wing, when the DRS system yields and it pushes that flap back down under hard braking, it just has this adhesion to the road, while up front, that extended splitter is just sucking the nose to the ground as well. I'm really gonna keep the speeds low here because Cup 2Rs, fantastic for high temps, not that great in the wet. That's why my M2 CS, it's gonna have Cup 2s, not Rs. I didn't think I'd have a chance to speak about the wet weather performance of the GTD on this first drive, but from what I'm experiencing behind the wheel, the windshield wipers, they work great. And the tires don't make me feel like I'm on ice skates. Traction control system hasn't been jabbing in, alerting me that it's having to nanny my driving on throttle. I guess it's not as bad as I expected. And once again, rear-wheel drive. This is all very impressive, keeping that one important detail in mind. This is a good time to talk about some other specs for this car I haven't shared. Top speed, 202 miles per hour. I'm honestly impressed that it is that high, given all the downforce, but that's where the drag reduction system comes in handy. The fuel economy, if you'd care, is 10 mpg in the city, 17 on the highway, and a paltry 12 combined. Thankfully, I don't need that fuel station quite yet, but we have gone through a half tank of fuel real quick. Once again, the price tag is $325,000. That is more expensive, certainly, than the other two cars I mentioned, the Corvette CR1X and the Porsche 911 GT3 RS. The options list is, well, it's not unknown. We know there's a performance package for this car. We know there are other trim levels like the liquid carbon version, but the public doesn't know. GTD buyers certainly do. How much each of the options would cost. Don't know how much the lightning blue paint job is, if it costs anything. Don't know how much the performance package costs. I do know that from a numbers standpoint, the GTD, apart from its price tag being the highest of the competitors, falls somewhere in between in terms of power. The 911 GT3 RS making 518 horsepower, the Corvette ZR1X making 1,250 horsepower. This at 815, right there in the middle. 0 to 60, I don't know the quoted 0 to 60 for this car. We just saw a real world, not perfect 0 to 60 test of the mid 3-second range, whereas the GT3 RS is low 2 seconds, and same for the ZR1X. Because bragging rights would matter to this segment of buyer, the GTD lapped the Nürburgring in 6 minutes and 52 seconds, which when that first came out, it was the quickest production American car's lap time. Shortly before, wow, it's a deluge. Now I'm really going slow. The ZR1X came out with a 6 minute and 49 second time around the Nürburgring, which is the same time as the 911 GT3 RS. And now it's hailing. Those are pellets of hail. on this carbon fiber bodied car. I'm sorry, Ford, this is evidence that I didn't do anything wrong. I just drove it and I didn't have a shelter. Rarity would matter to buyers in this subset as well. And the GT3 RS does have a limited production. There's not a specific number for that car. It's just very difficult to find one. And if you can, I'm really shouting out. If you can, you're gonna spend a lot more than the MSRP. The ZR1X, I think they're limiting production to around 2,000 units, which is, there's normal rain, thank you, which is the same limited production run for the GTD. They're targeting around 2,000 units for this vehicle. None of these cars are going to be common. All of them are going to be expensive, and you gotta know someone. And just like that, the rain has stopped and the road is dry. That's the desert. Here's the very personalized summary statement. I've never wanted a Mustang more than the GTD. And I realize that sounds so obvious, but I've really wanted a GT350R. Still do, probably have to own one at some point in the future. But this now supersedes that in terms of my desire. And this is the bigger statement. If given the choice of taking a GTD or a GT3 RS to a great road like the one I've experienced, I'm gonna choose this. It just gives you more from the sound and the feel and the grip even than the GT3 RS. And I love the GT3. That's another dream car for me. But Ford has just crushed it. And as much as I really want to take it on the track, I'm just as excited to get a loaner and be able to do a Costco run. So look forward to that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this first drive in the Mustang GTD, and I will see you again next time. Yeehaw!